Welcome to the Sebcast, where we look deeper, ask bigger questions, and discover how Jesus is still changing the world. Colossians 1:15-17 says, "He is before all things, and in him all things hold together." When people talk about Jesus, they often first think of forgiveness, and that is right. But Paul's picture of Jesus is bigger than that, much bigger. He does not just say that Jesus saves people, he says that everything was created through him, and even more astonishing, everything holds together in him. In other words, Jesus is not just the answer for the next life, he is the glue that holds this one together. God's work remains the same throughout the Bible. He brings life where chaos tries to take over, not by brute force, but by faithful presence. We often think God works in dramatic moments, but the greatest miracles often happen slowly. A marriage is not restored by one big conversation, but by 100 small acts of love. A child is not shaped by one big sermon, but by thousands of small moments of presence. A congregation does not change through one big program, but through people who carry, forgive, and serve each other. Yet we live in a time that normalizes chaos. Relationships are disposable. Truth is fluid. Identity becomes something you have to figure out for yourself. And many people live with the quiet anxiety that everything will eventually fall apart. Paul says something different. He says there is someone who still holds everything together, even when your life feels like it is falling apart, even when your plans change, even when you do not understand what is going on. The question is not whether chaos exists. The question is, who do you trust to bring order? Because Jesus never promised that his followers would avoid storms. He promised that they would find him in them. And maybe that is why the early church lived so differently. Not because they had fewer problems, but because they believed that the king was already busy building a new creation, and that every act of love, every word of truth, every act of forgiveness, and every simple act of obedience becomes part of that new world that is already breaking through. This is what the #1 network for your life looks like. Not perfect people, but people who learn to work with the artist who creates beautiful things out of chaos. Until tomorrow, take care.